on that right here. What's the matter with your hair? Quentin asked with a grimace on his face. I washed it last night, I explained, brushing it to the side with my hand. Well, you got sort of a porcupine thing going on. Why don't you fix that? He criticized as I walked away in shame. Why did all of this set off a painful memory from my childhood? It seemed as if all of a sudden a cloud of anguish was fluttering in the air as I walked to my car. I recall the days in which Mama and I spent hours trying to get my hair straightened. I was blessed with a head full of long, thick, curly locks. But after I washed it, it would spring back into one big spongy ball. Mama had used a whole can of grease trying to press it. I hated it. The scabs on my neck and ears were mounting up. She tried to please me because I'd insist on having it long and blowing and bouncing in the wind like the little white girls at school. But it was happening not today. My hair was much too coarse. It kept bouncing back every time Mama would pull that big black heavy pressing comb through my hair. God made your hair different, Mama would always explain. Everyone's hair is not the same. Black folks' hair is different from white folks' hair. Asian folks' hair is different from Chaldean folks' hair. Mama would go on and on about how I should just be grateful for how God made me and how important it was to accept who I was.
Amen.
Yet, I'd still be angry with God for making my hair so nappy. It was hard to comb, and I wanted my hair to move like the little white girls in my class. Then maybe everyone wouldn't stare at me when I came to school with different hairstyles each day. One day I have a ponytail with a bang, and the next day I have two French braids going down the side of my head, and then an afro puff on top. I remember asking Mama, why is it so hard being black? I'd sit and think about all the mean things other people would say about colored people. And then I asked Mama, why they call us colored anyway? Mama would try to explain, but sometimes her efforts to clear up the matter would still make things worse. I felt like I didn't fit in. You are somebody, Mama would always tell me. You're black and you're beautiful. Your skin is perfect and look at those big, pretty brown eyes, she'd say. Still, I'd always wonder what it would be like to have green eyes like a cat. I'd admire the variety of eye color of the little kids in school. Plus, I'd always thought that little blonde boy who sat across from me in the 4th grade was the cutest little boy in school. I'd come home and tell Mama all about him, but she'd look at me and tell me, concentrate on your lesson and not those little boys in school. Then it wasn't long before I broke the lead of my newly sharpened pencil off in his back after he pulled my ponytail, called me Medusa. Then she'd encourage me to pray to God that I'd meet a man and marry him who looked like my father. I suppose she meant someone who was colored. Why was there so many rules that came along with being black? It was as if I was born with a manual. Why couldn't I marry who I wanted to marry? It's hard enough being black and being accepted in this world, Mama would say. But to marry someone outside your own race, that would just add to your sorrow. But I thought of those little innocent 4th grade crushes. That's all it was innocent crushes. That was back in 1969, and I had a long way to go before I got married. But Mama felt the need to educate me while I was young. Now that I was grown and in college, my interest was a man of color. Nevertheless, I needed to be comfortable with who I was. I've often reflected the many times before starting college how I would wear a variety of wigs and fake ponytails just to have a changed look. While I was in the car talking with Boris Hendricks, my fake ponytail fell off my head right in the back seat. Exposed and completely embarrassed, I sat there ashamed because the real me had been revealed. But why the fake ponytail anyway? I'd made a decision to cut my hair, so why couldn't my self-esteem be healthy without all the wigs and different hairstyles? Was it because I didn't feel like I fit in? Whenever I looked in the mirror, perhaps it was the fear of what others would say. They would whisper about me when they looked at my head and how naked it was. Depression would settle in and I'd get paranoid for a moment, wondering whether or not the person sitting behind me in class could see the tracks in my weave or if the net in my wig was showing just below my earlobes. I'd spend the entire session patting the back of my head, making certain the glue wasn't showing. On the other hand, the new growth from my extensions had to be pressed whenever the top of my head started looking spongy again. In addition, I spent endless hours picking through the lint left after leaving my hair braided too long. Trapped in bondage, I spend an enormous amount of time wrestling with how to fix my hair. I wanted to repair what I felt was an oversight on God's part. He must have been busy doing other things and had simply forgotten to give me good hair. As a result of the error, had brought me to a point where I had to press it, perm it, plait it, French braid it, corn roll it, bob it, curl it, glue it, weave it, bond it, cut it, grow it, and even staple it if I had to. But for what? All of this bondage was not to please myself, but to be accepted by others. Somewhere down the line, someone told us that having it long, straight, and blowing in the wind was the only way to have it. But for those of us who couldn't grow it naturally, we spent far too much time and money trying to make it happen. Was it fear that our men wouldn't be satisfied with who we really were? We had to admit that having our hair done what made us feel better all the time about ourselves and may even have boosted our self-esteem. In fact, we were some depressed sisters whenever our hair wasn't done. That went far beyond suffering from PMS. We'd almost become homicidal if we was having a very bad hair day. Yet, deep down inside, getting our hair done was for him, whoever he may have been. It could have been your husband, a friend, or the gas station attendant. Anyone whose attention we were trying to capture. We knew he wasn't looking our way if our hair wasn't all messed up. We needed to be honest about what we were searching for, in need of ourselves to be comfortable within who we truly are and to satisfy